welcome to the Your Desired Success Foundation Mastermind, all around paying it forward with the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would have done unto you. So when we talk about the power of the mastermind, Napoleon Hill, author of many books around success, but certainly one of the most well-known books is Think and Grow Rich. He said, it is the principle through which you may borrow and use the education, the experience, the influence, and perhaps the capital of other people in carrying out your own plans in life. It is a principle through which you can accomplish in 1 year more than you could accomplish without it in a lifetime if you depended entirely on your own efforts for success. So what we're actually all around here is collaboration. Collaboration over competition. We can all win together. So we've all got our numbers. If you'd like to start us off, Carly.
The purpose of the mastermind is to share our value and connect with like-minded people in order to create wealth in all areas of our lives.
We're here to inspire and challenge each other to reach and exceed goals.
Each member is committed to their own success as well as the success of every member in the group.
We are committed to meeting in person or virtually for 1 hour every week.
We are present. There is no multitasking or distractions during meetings.
We are collaborative. We listen without interrupting, lecturing, or judging.
We celebrate each other's successes without jealousy.
We are honest and participate by giving thoughtful feedback.
We are open and listen to different perspectives without being defensive or offering excuses.
We trust fellow members enough to share fully.
We are focused, but we also think it's important to have fun during meetings.
We are real and authentic. This is a no BS zone.
We allow ourselves to become completely aligned with each other and the high forces. One mind, one soul, one love.
Oh, what a way to come in and just own that one. Fantastic, Gary. Thank you, everyone, for setting the foundation there of the call. I always love going through the principles. So as I mentioned, the topic today is symptoms of the fear of poverty from Think and Grow Rich. I mentioned just earlier, I was reading all in around the power of the mastermind again, and having a conversation with somebody separate from a mastermind, and I kept going and I managed to find here. Now, I'm going to read just a little bit. There's not too much from memory that I'm going to actually read, a couple of pages, just to set the foundation. But please understand that I am taking a snippet from a very powerful chapter. And then we'll just touch on it because I really feel that right now it's important. A lot of us tend to focus our energy, and when I say a lot of us, I'm talking about globally, on new year, especially with the way that for some people 2020 has been. New year, new opportunities, let's go forward, but still not actually clearly defined on where they're going to go. So symptoms of fear of poverty. Indifference, commonly expressed through lack of ambition, willingness to tolerate poverty, acceptance of whatever compensation life may offer without protest, mental and physical laziness, lack of initiative, imagination, enthusiasm, and self-control. That's for indifference. Indecision, the habit of permitting others to do one's thinking, staying on the fence. Doubt, generally expressed through alibis and excuses designed to cover up, explain away, or apologize for one's failures, sometimes expressed in the form of envy of those who are successful or by criticizing them. There's a lot of that in the online world. Worry, usually expressed by finding fault with others, a tendency to spend beyond one's income, neglect of personal appearance, scowling and frowning, intemperance, in the use of alcoholic drink, sometimes through the use of narcotics, nervousness, lack of poise, self-consciousness, and lack of self-reliance. Overcaution, the habit of looking for the negative side of every circumstance, thinking and talking of possible failure instead of concentrating upon the means of succeeding, knowing all the roads to disaster, but never searching for the plans to avoid failure. Waiting for the right time, the right time, to begin putting ideas and plans into action until the waiting becomes a permanent habit, remembering those who have failed and forgetting those who have succeeded, seeing the hole in the donut. That's a good one. That's why I always get a full donut. But overlooking the donut. Pessimism leading to indigestion, poor elimination, auto-intoxication, bad breath, and bad disposition. Procrastination. The habit of putting off until tomorrow that which should have been done last year. Spending enough time in creating alibis and excuses to have done the job. This symptom is closely related to overcaution, doubt and worry, refusal to accept responsibility when it can be avoided, willingness to compromise rather than put up a stiff fight, compromising with difficulties instead of harnessing and using them as stepping stones to advancement, bargaining with life for a penny instead of demanding prosperity, opulence, riches, contentment, and happiness, planning what to do if and when overtaken by failure instead of burning all bridges and making retreat impossible. Weakness and often total lack of self-confidence, definiteness of purpose, self-control, initiative, enthusiasm, ambition, thrift, and sound reasoning ability. Expecting poverty instead of demanding riches. Association with those who accept poverty instead of seeking the company of those who demand and receive riches. Now, it goes on into very much around money. And we'll talk about wealth in all areas of our lives. So we're not just going to keep it focused on the money. But with that being in mind, what's coming up when I read that for each of you about, you don't have to state your numbers, we're totally open, symptoms of fear of poverty. When I read any of them, did anything come up that you felt, you know what, I know in my past I showed that at times, but am I showing it right now? Are there areas I can actually just take the bull by the horn, so to speak? Are there areas I can move and challenge myself, especially from a place of the law of sacrifice, which some of the Gold Star members will be aware of, letting go, creating a new space for the new things that are serving us more to come in. So is anyone feeling anything that they'd like to share right now?
Mm-hmm.
Go, Veronica. You're on mute. You're muted, Veronica.
I pressed the button. When I first started my accounting practice 9 years ago, even though I thought I knew all about business because I'm an accountant, it's very different when you start your own business. And I thought I could do everything a lot cheaper. So I was doing things based on what I thought people could pay rather than the value I was adding. And basically I was running my business like a charity. And this year, when COVID hit and all this stuff happened with the government funding and subsidies and whatever, I took the first 3 weeks just to work out what the hell was going on and how it was going to affect people and how I could help people. And I contacted every single client to find out where they're at. And they were just so grateful to hear from me, even if they couldn't access any of the benefits. And the ones who could, I let them know how much they were going to get and how much I was going to charge them. And once the job was done, I sent the invoice out, they paid it straight away. So it took me 9 years to learn that, but yeah, huge lesson.
And with that, Veronica, it's a fairly deep question, and you don't need to answer it if you feel triggered by it. But do you feel that was something to do around self-worth as well? Oh,
definitely, yeah.
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 So you've noticed this year your self-worth has risen?
Yes. Yeah, I'm a lot clearer on my value, and yeah, I'm more comfortable in my own skin from it. So yeah.
How do you feel from that? Do you feel powerful?
Definitely, yeah. Powerful but humble, because these people are struggling. That's why they can get the benefits. But at the same time, I'm providing a lot for them. And it's funny, I've spoken to people have other accounts, and they never even contacted them. I was just shocked by that. And they had to go search for themselves how to actually help themselves.
I can share a bit, Martin. Yeah, there was some good stuff that came up around that. And Veronica, you kind of triggered off something for me too. It's like, you're a much quicker study than I have been, young lady, because I've been in business for about 35 years now. And what I've realized over all of these years is that my success is in direct proportion to my own sense of self-worth. So if I am incongruent in my behaviors during the day, we take a lot of leniency. We're at home with our partners, we joke around. Sometimes things will come out of our mouth that is completely contrary to what our own personal brand is, sometimes our own spiritual expression or our desire to be that evolved self. Oftentimes I'll find myself with things coming out of my mouth, and then I catch it and go, wow, that was just completely incongruent what I just thought or said. And every time that would happen, I would find my self-worth lowering. And every time I corrected it, and this is why I think being in business for yourself is the best personal development course you could ever be on, because it forces you to look at yourself, and the success of your business is a direct measurement of how congruent you've been and what you feel about yourself and your own self-worth. So what I found over the years, it was like this great awakening for me when I realized that the better I feel, the more congruent I am on a moment-by-moment basis. The stronger I get, the more success gets attracted to me. The more success gets attracted to me, the higher my self-worth goes. So it's this ever-evolving wheel of action and reaction, but it's all based on my alignment to my core values and my alignment to my purpose. And as I speak it, think it, and act it, I just get more success that will come to me. So that's been a 35-year lesson. Veronica's far smarter than me because she absolutely got it in 9 years. It just took me a really long time to fully understand that one. So yeah, that's my share.
That was awesome, Gary. Yeah, thank you. And naturally, what Veronica shared was fantastic. But at the same time, Gary, like you mentioned there, kind of taking you 30 plus years to gather that. But during that time, looking back, do you feel like there was a lot of fear that needed to be shifted to get to this place of self-worth?
Yeah, because I think this journey is a journey, what I call the great unraveling. It's the unraveling of what we imprinted from our family systems and our imprints, that are deeply unconsciously embedded. So being in business, being forced to look at either your success or your lack of success is all based upon what you're carrying in your constant thinking. So what I found was that it was really, really important for me to begin to take a first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth look at what those unconscious patterns were that ran me. It's almost like, oh, I'm aware of that one now. I'll do some work around that. And then another layer of it will show up. And then 2 or 3 years later, another layer will show up. Until finally you just get to this point to where you get more and more at peace with everything. And where the patterns sort of melt away and you can see them before they even arrive at your doorstep, and mitigate them before you speak it. Because once you command it to words, or once you command it to action, it becomes more solidified in your character. So I'm learning slowly how to begin to start doing that. And I personally think that if you're one of the worst students of your own information, that sometimes makes you the best teacher, because you can actually have a lot of compassion for people and understand the struggles that we all go through, because we're all just so wonderfully human.
Yeah, beautifully shared, Gary. I actually was at a networking event a couple of years ago, and the guy stood up and he said, I failed at my businesses many, many times, and that's why you should employ me as a coach, because I know what not to do. I was like, that's so good. That's such a good line, because you want, that's how you learn, through the failures. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Beautiful. Fantastic share, Gary. Carly, I know you were keen.
I'm not so keen now, because I'm thinking, my God, I'm actually worse than Gary. Mine's 50 years.
Remember, there's no judgment, Carly.
It's not 50 years, it's less than that, because it was when I was 2, from when I was age 2 on. But mine has been self-worth and value of myself, because I always put everybody else as the important one, never myself. And when I say that, like, that's like my core wound. Like, that's my actual wound all my life. It's not like last year or the last 10 years or like shit, it's probably many lifetimes. Anyways, so I've always put, definitely, like, when I finally had children, I still put obviously them even first, because that's what you do as a mother. But the thing is, it's never changed. Like, the only way I can be pure love is if I put myself first and make myself the important one in the room. If I don't do that, I can't be unconditional love for anyone else, even my children. And so I've really sacrificed even that part of pure love's potential, because when the kids came, I then even went into more of putting them most important. And so I'd be a great teacher for people, because I've got a lot of compassion when I'm sitting in a hill where I hold this immense space for just pure love for people. And so, yes, I'm very, very skilled at that, because I sacrificed it since I was age 2. And now I'm choosing to revalue it from now on.
Yeah, beautiful. And how do you feel now about with that awareness and choosing?
And there's a lot of freedom in that, because I get to now unwind, be love, and receive, where in the past I was working hard to receive. Like, I was working hard to receive money. I was working hard to find people that match my vibration. I was working hard to take care of all of these people and never receiving back. So now love allows me to just receive. So the grace in that, the miracle in that, it really is a miracle. Love is the miracle.
Yeah, beautiful. That was awesome, that, Carly. Made me think of yesterday. I was on Mark's Gold Star call, and we were talking around. Well, I got more, I suppose, involved in talking about Noble Goldman for me, and we were talking about the different angles and value in there, and I started saying to the community or the people on the call about all of these years that I've been in business, whether it be a traditional business, a network marketing business, an affiliate business, whatever it would be, all these years that I've been around people, and the way that my upbringing, I know, Gary, you spoke about it before, the upbringing, I watched my dad work 3 or 4 jobs from 4:30 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. And whenever I go and help him, he was doing what we called foreigners, so like cash jobs, jobs that would help bring in a bit of extra cash, he'd be just working hard. And the attitude and the mentality of what I learned was, you have to work hard and work long hours and sweat and grind to be able to get by, not get ahead, to get by, to survive. And I mean, like I said earlier on, I turned 40, and I'm feeling now that the chase and the grind and all this stuff that we hear in society, it only brings one element to us. It doesn't bring everything. Like when I was talking earlier on about the wealth in all areas of our lives, not just money. Most people are driven via money. We have this incredible connection and desire for something that, in all fairness, isn't even real. You know, we log on to our online bank account. It's just a series of numbers. You know, there's not enough. If everyone went and drew out the money in the bank, there's not enough cash there available in the world. The Happy Pocket Full of Money talks about this, the book. But the one thing that I felt on the call yesterday was in a very powerful state of flow and ease, and the connections and the wealth that's in my life, exactly like this call right now. You know, Gary, you mentioned over 30 years. Carly, you just mentioned, you know, decades. And for me to be able to be on a call with you, beautiful souls, and the life experience that you've got, to be able to tap into that, but to be able to feel that as well, is really empowering, which then gives me the confidence when I see other people shifting through, like we were talking around the self-worth stuff, shifting through that to becoming, showing their own greatness, showing their own power, not from a place of being better than anybody else, being the best version of themselves in that moment. That nothing else can happen for me but to feel that and receive that and be empowered to tap into my own greatness as well, which I know since I've been a part of this kind of model where, thanks to Noble Goldman, thanks to Mark Santos helping me find it, my own self-worth, my own action, my own flow has been created because of these connections and these relationships. So a lot of people out there, the fear that I see is they have to do it alone. They have to be the one on stage where everyone's cheering at them. And I've always said, I've got no interest in being on the stage. For me to be on the stage gives me the opportunity to speak and help empower many people, but I'm not doing it for the applause. I want to be on the stage for the cause. That's it. I don't need the accolades. I don't need the awards. I don't need that recognition. It's about the message. It's about the energy. It's about the difference that I can make in my own life and let that overflow to impact other lives. So I know for somebody who, if my mother was on this call right now, she'd say she is just totally amazed at the person who I am today based on how I choose to show up to the world, from who I was growing up as this shy boy, always in a state of fear, never wanted to say or do the wrong thing. I was never living. I was just existing to make sure that I never got into trouble, that I didn't upset anybody, and it was always for everybody else. And now it's like the chains are off, the doors are open, and it's like, here I am, this is me. This is who I am, this is what I bring to the world. If that resonates with you, let's do it together. If it doesn't, no problem, I wish you well. That's what's been shifting through me over the years, and where that symptoms of fear of poverty it's not all gone. I know there's certain areas where I feel that fear creeping in, and as we know, subconscious things are taking place that you might go, well, you don't know because it's subconscious, but these things are taking place that are resisting. You're like, why can't I move forward? Why is this happening? Something else, another layer that needs to be peeled off and worked with. And that's the beauty of these calls, from connecting with people like yourself, Carly, Gary, other people in the community, and saying, hey, you know, I need to work with you, or I need to have a conversation with you, or can we do something? I know that first call in particular, Gary and I had, there's no doubt in my mind we've met before, whether it's in this lifetime or whatever, but I left the call, was bursting for the loo, went to the toilet and just burst into tears, like with gratitude. Like I was blown away with the connection, the depth. Now, money can't buy that. Like you can't buy that feeling. You can't buy that connection. And I feel that has been, for me personally, I've been letting go of all these artificial, superficial things that just truly haven't been serving me, that's been limiting my potential and my growth, to be in a place now where I receive so much more value from just having an open heart and showing up as who I am and creating these connections through incredible platforms like Zoom and Facebook and so on. So that's what was coming up as you guys were sharing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Stan, have you got anything you'd like to add?
Well, I'm probably just looking. I just started doing, I was going to say I call it RTT. I'm just trying to think what the acronym. Oh, so it's Rapid Transformational Therapy with Marissa Peer. And of course, it's all looking at abundance blocks and stuff like that. But I kind of never thought about looking for the fear. I was kind of looking for events or stuff, but I didn't think about looking for fear in there. So yeah, we just kind of started looking, diving deep and trying to find the blocks and the words and the stuff that comes up. So, and then of course the big list was going, and I've had kind of like all day yesterday and early this morning on calls, and my brain was going, I might have to go back and read that because some of that went.
Do you feel with that, and this is a question for all of us, I think one of the common areas people would relate to would be with partners. So the relationship ends, and then they start becoming aware of what they want based on what they don't want. So do you feel like with what you said there, Stan, it's now looking into that fear side is like, okay, well, this is what I don't want. I don't want to feel this level of fear. I don't want to have resistance to this because I know that when I master this, it's going to serve me. Would that be right?
I don't know. I've only just started looking at the stuff. So I'm probably looking at the surface at the moment. Like I said, I'm looking for events and just ingrained learned stuff that kind of comes up. But yeah, I was like, maybe I should be looking for fear as well.
Dan, could I share something with you?
Sure.
I mean, because you're on this journey of kind of looking for where the foundation of the blockages are. And one of the things I found in the past is to sit down and write out what your father said, thought, and believed, and more importantly, behaved, his patterns towards money. And then write out what your mother said and believed and acted out in her relationship to money. And then look at what those are, then write out yours and see how, because what you can do by that is look at that, what will begin to be revealed is the unconscious beliefs that you imprinted from your mother and father about money. And every time I've had groups do this, they always walk away going, wow, I never believed that I had that same approach to money, but I was completely imprinted by, at a very deep unconscious level, by what my parents did, said, and acted out around money. So when we start to look at that, knowing that between birth and 7 is when the biggest imprint years happen, we are running these patterns that we can't see, they are unconscious. But when we start to write out what our parents did, what our mother and father did, and then what we're doing, we'll start to see some threads and correlations that lead to some really profound limiting beliefs that we can carry around our worth around money and the possibility of making lots of money. So just a thought.
That's kind of where we're up to at the moment, sort of looking for stuff. I mean, I kind of worked out one. We didn't have lots of money when I grew up, and we had a roadhouse that had video games, and I would actually just watch everybody play, learn all the secrets. When you got paid, the small amount I could play, and then I would be like the top scorer. But you spend all the time like gathering the resources for like, you know, like a whole month and then going, ah, now I'm like number one.
You're
At
already
least, at
doing
least it only took you a month to become number one. It took Gary 35 years.
He's already doing the art of genius. He's modeling excellence, copying those patterns and applying to self. You already got it, Stan. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a really, really powerful share, Gary, that that a lot of us can get from that, because I know that, you know, I'm very, very blessed and grateful for my upbringing. You know, I chose my parents, and I know why I chose my parents. And it's really interesting because my mother is on this huge journey of self-mastery, you know, if you want to label it that, personal growth, and diving in deeper. And it's more because of where I am, and she's seen the growth in me, and she's become inspired through that to challenge herself even. So she started 61 years of age, you know, when most people would be getting into that mindset of at that age would be getting into the mindset of, oh, it's retirement, I don't need to be, I've worked so hard all these years, why do I need to go down that road? Or why should I choose rather to go down that road? And my mum, just to witness who my mum's become, how she is showing up in the world, how she is responding rather than reacting, is just incredible. How someone can have evolved so quickly in such a short period of time, especially as it's my mother, and she's a part of the community, and she's challenged herself every single day rather than throwing the towel in. And there's times where, you know, I look up to the heavens and roll in my eyes as we're working through things, but at the same time, that inspires me, you know. And she's like, I wish I had known all this kind of stuff when I was at your age. And I'm like, you're getting it at the perfect time, because you're bringing in all of your value, and there's a community of people who can relate to you because of your age that you can connect to. If I'm talking to, you know, people who are older, or even people who are in the early 20s, they're like, well, you know, the people in the 20s probably think I'm old. You know, I'm only 40, give over. You know, but it's that demographic. So definitely from that place of people choosing to push through no matter what age they are, can experience a better life, even if it is for the last 20, 30 years of their life, rather than maybe, I mean, we never know when we're going to go, when we've served what we're here for, and when we're ready to pass, that we're ready. But the great thing, and I'm really inspired and empowered, and just so grateful for every single person who chooses to show up and challenge and teach me, because at any given moment we're a student and a teacher. But then when I'm surrounding myself with what I class as worldly people like yourselves, and certainly people who are older, and I just use this from a place of respect, Gary, like yourself, who have consciously gone out there to impact people's lives through your own self-growth. That is inspiring, because that's what I love to do. And on that energy that I receive from doing that and being of service, choosing to go out there and give, is well, you can't really explain it. It's an incredible feeling. But we also feel that when we choose to give to ourselves. And I think where a lot of us get lost along that journey, where especially who are empaths, is we tend to focus on receiving that value and that energy by being of service to others. But at the same time, when we take a break away, and I know you, Gary, you took a week away recently out into the hills and stuff, and it was to recharge your batteries and self-love for you, knowing that when you came back, you would be able to give even more to the people who you are being of service to. And that to me is inspiring. Because when like I said, I'm around you people, and I'm blown away. Like I don't make a judgment to how old Christos in the community is. Only I think 24, and I'm just sat there in awe listening to him and how he chooses to show up. And I'm learning from this young man not coming from a place of, well, you're only 24, what am I going to learn from you? Like that open heart, that open mind. And that's helping me evolve and then sit and receive and share, which is one of the beautiful things I find about being surrounded by like-minded people. And that's shifting that fear of poverty, because there's abundance in all areas of our lives, all areas, when we choose to show up openly. Has anybody got anything that's coming up that they'd like to touch on based on anything that's been said for the last few minutes? When I was reading through a couple of those pages in the book, what's our perception around, is in particular the book Think and Grow Rich? When you think about that book, what comes up to you straight away when that's said?
We're a creative force that through our thoughts, we create our reality.
Yeah, powerful. Would you like to expand a bit more on that, Gary, for the people who...
Sure. Well, when you think about it, all world religions say that man and woman are made in the image and likeness of this creative force. They can't decide what to do with that creative force, how to call it, and how to worship it, and then they create genocide against each other to try to figure out my way's the better way. But there's a golden thread that runs through all of it. And they all say that we're made in the image and likeness of this creative force. And when you think about it, that has to presuppose then that we are creative by nature. And I'll go back to this quote from Buddha, from the Dhammapada. He said, let me see if I can quote it. Thoughts manifest as the word. The word manifests as the deed. The deed turns into habit. The habit hardens into character. So watch your words and your thoughts with care and let it spring for concern for all living things. For as the shadow follows the body, as we think and as we speak, so we become. So there's very fundamental action in our thinking, and our words that represent our thoughts actually shape our reality, which then either imprisons us or frees us completely based upon the thoughts we choose to think. And it all happens in that 6 or 7 inches between our ears. And very, very, very few people understand the power of language, the power of their own internal dialogue, their own external speech. I think it was estimated that each one of them are a creative force generating out their own individual realities. And so for me, this idea of conscious creating, or this idea of being able to know that you are attracting to you your wealth or your poverty based upon your thoughts, it's a very empowering thing, but it is also in the trenches, word by word, conversation by conversation, a discipline to actually discipline yourself to speak towards where you want to go, instead of consistently in the narrative about where you've been. And that then creates this massive momentum forward to create more of our dream rather than continue to duplicate what our reality has been.
Yeah, that was a perfectly beautiful share. Wow, powerful that.
Well, that's the thing, you know.
You touched on something that just reminded me of a friend of mine who, in her presence, I'm just lost. Her energy, her aura is just incredible. And I said to her once, and I've had challenges with my back for many, many years. And I said to her once, oh gosh, my back's sore. And she was like, no. She's Spanish. She's just beautiful. She's a tiny little thing. No. And she came over with this book. She almost was hitting me with this book. I'm like, my head's going to work in a minute as well. And she opened it up and she was talking about the energy of language. And she started showing it me. And she's like, you'll change your wording to my back is healing. So I'm like, oh, wow. And it was amazing. And because as you said, then what ends up happening for the words to come out, there has to be a thought. So then the whole thinking shifts. So then you're thinking I was started thinking from a space of healing and strong and comfortable rather than pain and loss and fragmentation. It was just, it's the little things. And some people would go, oh, what a load of rubbish. But the people who are actioning that notice the difference. And I know Zig Ziglar, I heard him say something years ago, and I think it was something around the weather. And somebody said, oh, well, today it's raining and cold, so I suppose I'm all right. And he said, when my daughter was born, it was a cold, wet, miserable day. But do you think that changed how I felt? Absolutely not. My daughter was born. It was one of the most empowering days of my life. So it's amazing how we choose to think and then act and live that way based on our own thoughts.
There's a great book I'll let everybody know about. It's called The Secret Language of Your Body by a great Aussie friend of mine. Her name is Emma Segal. Yeah, she lives in Melbourne. She's an old friend of mine. Yeah, we used to have some great chats in Perth. But it's a great book, and you can find what the emotional equivalent is to whatever vertebrae has been speaking to you, and from there do some awesome work around that psycho-emotionally. So
well, it's really interesting you mentioned that, Gary, because I was actually on a spiritual retreat with a very, very good friend of mine, and I fractured my coccyx years ago when I was trying to be a hero in a circuit training, and it's healed the wrong way. So my tailbone actually comes like out towards my bum instead of tucking under. And it doesn't give me any issues. However, I mean, it did at the time when I landed on that mat and it hurt. And the chiropractor said, well, I'll have to go in. And I'm going, go in which way? And he was like, you know which way. And I'd have to break it and turn it around so it healed. And I'm like, no, I'll leave that. You're all right. One, you're not going in. And two, you're not breaking anything. So, but what was really interesting when I was on that retreat, I had intense coccyx pain. And the facilitator, she had books laid out around, and she picked the book up and she said, go to the coccyx section and read it out aloud to us. And I sat there and I read it aloud, and I'm like, as I'm reading it, I'm going, wow, because exactly what I was reading, what was exactly going on in my life at the time.
Yeah.
Blown away.
Inna did some really miraculous stuff with that book. I had a tooth chart that shows the psycho-emotional component, like which tooth is neurologically connected to each organ, and then what those psycho-emotional aspects are. And so I shared all that with her so she could at some point write about it, because the teeth are really, they're really interesting. If we think that the body is just a biocomputer for the subconscious mind, so what's going on in the body is actually a reflection of what's going on at the very depths of our subconscious. So it turns into a really interesting place to start investigating when our body's screaming at us, to look at what's really happening there and what's the messenger saying. It's interesting.
Yeah, well, I actually looked into the teeth a few years ago, and it's actually an incredible. Put it this way, it awakened me a lot to people having teeth removed and so on. And I was very fortunate that my dentist back in the UK was always reluctant to remove teeth. It's like, you do not just take teeth out for the sake of taking teeth out. And my dad, what's a big shame is my dad has recently gone and had all these teeth redone. And I'm like, but you didn't need to. And he's like, yeah, but it's just to, my wife, my stepmom, she's just like, oh, you can have, and she's from Lithuania, and it's so cheap to have your teeth done there. That's why they went and did it. And I'm like, are you serious? Because he's at that age, he's 66. And I say he's at that age from a point of, he doesn't look after himself from that place. He's very happy in life, which works for him, but physically he doesn't look after himself. And I'm just thinking that is going to potentially create a lot of problems that didn't needed to be created. It was just really from potentially a place of vanity.
Yeah.
So Lynette asked, what was the book's name by Ines Segal? The Secret Language.
The Secret Language of Your Body.
Yeah.
It's such a good book. If those of you that are coaches and work with people, it's a quick diagnostic. When people come in and they'll have something going on with them physically, you can just go right to what the psycho-emotional components are of that particular imbalance in the body and know where to start working to assist them in bringing that back to balance. So it's a really good resource book.
Yeah, I'm just going to add that into there for when we had our 3 takeaways. So we've just come to the hour mark, you beautiful people. So we've got the Gold Star Mastermind call in 30 minutes time. We'll be diving deeper, actually covering in there the law of sacrifice we're up to this week. So I'm looking forward to sharing there and learning from each person. As always, in the Your Desired Success Facebook group, welcome for everybody to come in and be a part of. If you're on a journey of personal growth, we're going to be sharing our 3 biggest takeaways from today's call. And our next mastermind, live mastermind, is tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. in Western Australian Standard Time. So I look forward to anybody who can join us on there. Thank you, Carly, Stan, Gary, and Veronica, who was on earlier, for all your shares. It's been absolutely amazing. Beautiful to spend this past 60 minutes with you. Go and have
Are we still running next week and stuff?
Oh, I keep going, mate. I keep going, absolutely.
Oh, that's good. Good. Yeah.
So go and have yourselves a wonderful day, evening, wherever you are in the world. And I will speak to you all very soon.
Okay, Martin, good seeing you again, buddy.
Same to you, Gary. Thank you. Bye.
Nice meeting you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.